Welcome, everyone. Welcome to Your Health Matters. My name is Carl Sterling, and I have a guest with me today. I've been following him for a long time and watching hundreds and hundreds of hours of his videos on YouTube. Dr. Ken Berry, how you doing, man?
Doing great, Carl. Thanks for having me.
Oh, my pleasure. Totally my pleasure. I've been watching you. You're doing some great work. And for those who might be new to Dr. Ken Berry, he's a board certified family physician. You're also an author. I mean, you've done so many different things, but highly, let's say, respected and well known for your advocacy of basically having people eat well, a proper human diet, if you will. So I thought I'd just start right off by asking you a question of what got you into doing this as far as focusing on the nutrition factor. I'm curious about that, doctor.
Well, I'm classically trained allopathically as a family medicine specialist. And the first few years of my medical career, I had no interest in nutrition whatsoever. And it was only after I personally became severely obese and pre-diabetic, and then tried to implement the dietary advice that I've been giving my thousands of patients, and it did not work for me. That was the moment I said, so something's fishy here. And so in my personal quest to reclaim my best health, I've kind of stumbled upon these principles that I now call the principles of a proper human diet. And, early in my career, if you were overweight or type 2 diabetic, I would tell you to join Weight Watchers and join the gym. And it's very important for your listeners to understand that I know you've tried all of the diets. I know you've tried this and that and this and that. But the problem is you've been presented with a false choice. So when you woke up, you maybe had a health scare or you got on the scales and said, OMG. And you said, okay, I got to clean up my act. And so previously you were living on Pepsi Cola and Doritos and ding dongs. And you're like, that's dumb. I got to stop that. And so I'm going to start drinking lots of fruit juice smoothies and eating whole grain bread. And I'm going to get all the bacon and saturated fat out of my diet, maybe go plant-based. This is a false choice. And this is why so many people get frustrated with diet and just say, forget it. I'll just eat whatever, because they did try. And so to the listener, I believe you. I know you've tried this diet and that diet, but the problem is you were given a false choice, a false solution. And so you were diligent. You did try, you did stick to it for a month or two or three, but you were just given incorrect advice and you tried the wrong solution. And that solution does not work long term. And that's one of the main principles of a proper human diet, is that it's sustainable and you get to actually eat until you're full. And people tend to like that. Once they give it a try, it's hard to go back.
Absolutely. So from personal experience, you you developed this. I mean, and I'll just say, my listeners already know my story. I was obese, but 70 pounds heavier than I am now. And it was my experience that got me, well, actually, it's so funny. I was a personal trainer first a long time ago, and then went into neuro rehab, right? Brain, body, restore memory, movement, cognition. But anyways, years ago, I went back to school. For nutrition, the problem is they were teaching the food pyramid. Still, at SU, Syracuse University, they got some great programs, so that wasn't necessarily the best one. And that's not what helped me to lose the weight. It was
Yeah.
implementing like some of the things that you're talking about, because there's science behind this, right? And just on one other note, not to hog the microphone too long, but my son's a physician too, and he as a physician, emergency room is a specialty, but they had like one nutrition course ever in the classically trained, where he went. So the common theme is here, classically trained medical doctors, typically they're not getting a lot in nutrition as far as education and knowledge and being able to really prescribe, if you will, informally, the proper diet. But
Correct.
that's what I love about what you're doing, doctor, the information you're putting out there. So I'm curious, part of have you ever had any rejection or say, because I want to get into specifics about the diet, but amongst your peers, let's say, how are they responding to this? Is there any kind
But
of resistance or
yeah,
rejection, or
initially,
or you're crazy or something, right?
yeah, initially there was a lot of kickback,
Yeah.
up to and including kickback from my state medical board. And so, I didn't, I initially I just tried these principles on my own self. And then when it was so successful, I started using it and recommending it to my most severely obese patients and my patients who had the most uncontrolled type 2 diabetes. And I started to see an enormous signal coming back from these patients. They would lose significant amounts of weight effortlessly. Their A1C would come down, their type 2 diabetes would come back in better control effortlessly. And so I don't get so much kickback now, but I was absolutely an innovator when I first started recommending this. And innovators, mavericks, renegades, they always get attention from the powers that be, because you're saying exactly the opposite of what they're saying, and sometimes that gets you into trouble, and sometimes that gets you chastised or canceled. And I'm not really worried about any of those things. I'm not really interested in impressing the powers that be, or the occupants of the ivory tower. What I'm here to do, and as always, is to help individual people get healthy. And so that's that. I haven't allowed any of that to discourage me. I always have hope, because every morning when I read the comments on my YouTube videos, I'm like, yeah, that's why I'm doing this. I'm not trying to get a position at Harvard. I'm trying to help as many millions of people reclaim their health as possible.
Yeah, that's well, it's obviously out there because I mean, your following is huge. I'm so happy to see that your following is huge, and I love this because right now I think this is a time. I hope this is a time of some re-education to Americans, to maybe people globally. But if we look at what's happening with, well, even certain picks in the Trump administration at the moment, there's some truth speakers there.
Yes.
Casey Means is among advisors. Of She was on the show a while ago, and Marty McCary, FDA commissioner. I mean, these are people who are, I say respectfully to you and them as a compliment. You're all paralleling each other because you know the truth. And what we really need is to have the truth out there so that we aren't toxifying our bodies so much and finding it impossible to lose weight. We got about a minute before we go to a break, but are there any let's go into talking about, if you can just tell us a couple of the books you've written. Lies My Doctor Told Me is a game changer. I love this book. Thank you for writing it.
Thank you. That was probably my favorite book to write. I also have a book called Kicking Ass After 50. For a lot of men and women over the age of 50, you're not washed up after 50. You're just getting started if you'll fix your diet and fix your lifestyle. And then also Common Sense Labs, to help your doctor know which labs to ask for, because many doctors don't know which labs to order. Truth.
Yeah, good point too, because that's so important to get the correct labs, the optimal labs, and a lot of them are not being ordered. Yes, so we have Common Sense Labs, Blood Labs Demystified. That was just came out a year ago or so.
Yep.
And then the Kicking Ass After 50, I love it. And of course, Lies My Doctor Told Me is a game changer. So, folks, we're going to break. You're listening to Your Health Matters. Our guest today is Dr. Ken Berry. We're going to be back right after this short break.
Friends, we know that brain health is paramount all throughout the lifetime, and especially as we age, with dementia being so prominent now and Alzheimer's being so prominent. It's time to take care of the brain. We know we can do it through movement, exercise, but we can also do it with our nutrition. Dr. Lewis Daily Brain Care is a powerful combination of 6 functional foods with a full spectrum molecular weight, most concentrated and highest bioavailable polysaccharides from aloe vera and a unique rice bran blend with hundreds of essential phytonutrients. It includes amino acids, cofactors, vitamins, and secondary metabolites. I've been using it for over a year. I notice a very distinct difference in my mental clarity. It's also helping me with my reaction time It's even helping me to sleep better. So check out Dr. Lewis Daily Brain Care by going to carlsterling.com. Go to the sponsors tab, and that's Carl with a K. Scroll down the page, check it out, click through to Dr. Lewis's site, and check it out for yourself.
All right, we're back. This is Your Health Matters. My name is Carl Sterling. Our guest today is Dr. Ken Berry, and we're talking about a proper human diet. I have a question for you, Doc. So regarding patient outcomes, do you have any specific, let's say, success stories? Because I know you have a lot of them. Maybe somebody who lost a whole lot of weight and it was relatively effortless. How did they do it? Because we know there's a system for this. How did they do it and realize these great results?
Well, I've got hundreds of in-person patient testimonials and then thousands upon thousands online. Probably my favorite is a fellow who came in. He was so obese that he could not weigh on the doctor's scale. My scale only went up to 450 pounds. And so he had to go to the local co-op where they measure feed and, stuff for cattle. And he had to weigh on their scales for the first 2 or 3 office visits, because I think he started at about 675 pounds.
Oh,
And he was a local minister, and he was coming because he needed to lose some weight because he was going to have both of his knee joints replaced because of the severe knee arthritis and pain. He had to walk with 2 canes. And so he had seen my health transformation. He said, "What have you been doing, Doc? I know you know something." And I said, "Well, I'll tell you, this is what I've been doing." And I explained the proper human diet to him: ketogenic, ketovore, carnivore. And he said, "So you're telling me it'd be fine if I just ate meat and eggs and nothing else?" And I said, "Yeah, that'd be perfect. Yeah, do that." And so he did that. He went home and did that for 3 months, and he came back and he went by the co-op first, and he had lost 85 pounds in 3 minutes. And so he's like, "Hey, this is great. Can I keep doing this?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And he, at that time, that visit, he was walking with 1 cane, not 2. And then he came back 3 months later, and he was not walking with any canes. He was just walking down the hall. And he said, "I just came from the co-op. I think next time I come, I'll be able to weigh on your scales." He was down in the 500s at that point. And he said, "Doc, I've been eating 3 times a day, beef, butter, bacon, and eggs, just whatever I feel like. I eat as much as I want. And I was afraid at first that would slow down my weight loss, but it doesn't seem to. I eat till I'm full. I'm not starving myself like I did on other diets." And I said, "That's correct. I don't want you to count calories. I don't want you to control portion size. I want you to eat until you're comfortably stuffed, because that's what all animals on planet Earth do, and they're not obese. Only humans are obese, and it's because we're eating the wrong diet." And so the next time he came to see me 3 months later, he came in again with no canes. He weighed on my scale. He was 420 something pounds. He was over the moon excited. He said, "Let me tell you what I did, Doc. I called the orthopedic surgeon and I canceled my knee replacement because my knees don't hurt anymore." He said, "I don't understand that, how that's possible, because my knees are bone on bone." And I said, "Right, but the pain was coming from the inflammation. It wasn't coming from necessarily from the bone on bone, which is bad. But if it's not inflamed, very often it doesn't hurt anymore." And we have now seen documentation that people can actually slowly regrow cartilage in a knee like that. And so, to my knowledge, he still has not had the knee replacement, and he continues to eat a proper human diet. And he's down to where he would be considered overweight now, no longer qualifies as being obese or severely obese.
that's amazing. It's amazing. So we're talking from the first visit there, a 9-month period, right? You had 3 months, and then 3 months, and then at 9 months, he comes in, he's 420 something pounds. So he's down like 220 something pounds.
Yeah.
Amazing.
And-
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, and this, I keep seeing this over and over and over. I keep having people reach out to me, and the initial, the typical conversation is, "When I first saw your YouTube video, I thought you were crazy. And so I tried this and tried that, Mayo Clinic diet, the American Diabetes Association diet, because they got more clout than you. You're just a YouTube doctor, as far as I know." And finally, I kept failing, and finally I thought, "Well, heck, I love meat and eggs. I'm just going to try this and see what happens." And then they're like, and then the following, I've lost all this weight. I've reversed type 2 diabetes. I got rid of fatty liver. I lowered my blood pressure. My knee pain's better. Just I go on and on and on. And it, I take credit for putting the message out there, but I didn't invent this. This is the proper human diet. This is our original diet. This is the diet that we should be eating. But we're so confused as a society. We just don't know what to eat anymore because we're getting all these mixed messages.
A lot of mixed information messages, and then even allegedly peer-reviewed data. But who knows who some of the peers are? We have to watch where it's coming from, who paid for the studies, and this and that. But maybe a big food, a big pharma is behind the funding for the studies. There's a lot to look at. But we've talked on the show previously about, and you just sort of hit on this from a different angle. Only humans get obese but what's interesting is up until maybe 50, 60, 70, 80, maybe 100 years ago, let's just go out a little bit. Up until 90, 100 years ago, humans maintained pretty much the same weight forever, right? For all of humankind, hundreds of thousands of years. And then animals, they just always seem to maintain, those that are in the wild, and not being fed marshmallows every day or something by their owner or whatever. But if they're out in the wild, they're usually just pretty healthy. So we've done this to ourselves. I used to think that it was everybody's fault who was overweight, and I realize that that's not the case necessarily. If you're not educated and you don't know, then somebody needs to tell you, this is our mission, right? You have a mission. My mission is to bring top-notch experts like yourself here to educate us, because now people who are listening and they have this education, there should be really no reason they can't accomplish what they want to do.
Yeah.
And, lose that weight, live a longer health span within a lifespan. So let's talk a little bit about, for example, this gentleman you were speaking of who was 650 pounds. Is there a point, and if so, where is the point where he'll reintroduce vegetables, fruits, carbohydrates, anything besides bacon, meat, eggs? At what point would that occur?
Whenever he's ready. So for the vast majority of humans, I'd say 70%, if they're going to reach their ideal body weight, they're going to have to eat a very low carb or ketogenic diet. We have preserved in our DNA a scarcity gene that makes us pack on weight if there's any extra food, because that used to help us thousands and thousands of years ago when there was a famine.
Sure.
Now, there are some people who are young and metabolically very healthy who can eat pretty much whatever they want to eat and at least outwardly look very healthy. But when you start checking their labs, and including some key labs, you'll find that they have hyperinsulinemia or other things. And so eventually he did reintroduce some low-carb vegetables, low-carb nuts, a few berries, and his weight loss slowed down a little, but it continued. And so he was very happy with that. Now he's got a very varied diet, which he's very happy with, but he's maintaining his weight loss and also slowly losing even more weight.
That's a beautiful thing. I love that story. It's a great one. And you have thousands of stories. I love it. So tell you what, let's go to a break, folks. We're with Dr. Ken Berry, and we'll talk more with him about this proper human diet when we get back. You're listening to News Radio 570 WSYR. Back in a couple of minutes.
Are you ready to take control of your health and feel your best? At Neuromotor Training, we specialize in helping you move better, think sharper, and stay independent for life. Our unique programs are designed to reduce your risk of falls, improve movement and mobility, boost memory and cognition, and enhance fine motor and multitasking skills. And here's the best part. We're the only clinic with a program proven to reverse osteoporosis with our state-of-the-art biodensity machine. Imagine stronger bones and a more confident you. At Neuromotor Training, your health and independence are our top priorities. Visit us at carlsterling.com or call 315-935-7488 to schedule your first session. That's 315-935-7488. Don't wait to take the next step toward a healthier, happier you. Neuromotor Training, where better health begins.
Okay, we're back with Dr. Ken Berry. And so I'm curious, when we're talking about, let's say, reintroducing other foods besides meat and eggs, um, as a physician, and I know you said like whenever he's ready, he could do this, but is there anything you're looking for on your end as far as labs go? Are there any labs would be helpful in, let's say, advising him, okay, now's a good time to do a little bit of this, a little bit of that? Do you have any protocol there?
Yeah, there are several labs that are very, very important for people who are metabolically unwell. Um, my main objective is to keep my patients and my followers on a proper human diet, even if they have to stray out and add some vegetables back in. They need to be low carb vegetables. They never need to be starchy. They never need to be grains or beans or anything that are predominantly starch, because that doesn't offer you any nutrition. It doesn't keep you full. It just spikes your insulin. So that's the first lab we're going to check, is a fasting insulin level. And you remember earlier I talked about that false choice. Many people adopt a plant-based diet and they believe in their heart of hearts, this is the best diet I could be eating for my health. And their doctor checks blood sugar and, LDL cholesterol, total cholesterol. And they're like, oh yeah, everything's great. You're doing great. But the doctor doesn't check an A1C. They don't check a fasting insulin. They don't check triglycerides, all three of which can be high, but all your other labs be normal. And so it's very common for somebody on a plant-based diet to be eating way too many carbohydrates for their personal metabolism. And all carbohydrates break down into sugar. This is that's an objective fact. That's not arguable. And so they're spiking their blood sugar, which spikes up their insulin. And if a doctor does not check a fasting insulin, they can be severely hyperinsulinemic. But otherwise, their labs seem to be relatively normal. Now, why is that so important? Well, especially if you're trying to lose weight. If your insulin level is elevated, it basically slams the door and locks it with regards to losing fat. And when people say they want to lose weight, that's what they mean. I want to lose fat. They don't want to lose muscle or bone or liver or brain. They want to lose fat. And if your insulin level is too high, it makes it literally impossible for your body to metabolize and use fat. So you just keep storing more and more fat, even though you're eating this plant-based, super healthy diet that's recommended by the American Heart Association. You're still slowly putting on more and more fat, and it's because your insulin level's high. But most doctors don't know they even need to check a fasting insulin. Therefore, they're blind to this. They just check a blood sugar and check the kidneys and liver, check the blood count, and check a urine, and they're like, no, everything looks great. But it's the reason everything looks great is because they're not checking the most important labs of all. If somebody's fasting insulin is high, if their A1C is high, if their triglycerides are high, if their HDL cholesterol is low, then they're metabolically unhealthy. And unless you check those labs, you won't be able to see that. You'll be blind to that. The doctor's blind to it, as is the patient. And the other big test that I highly recommend is a HSCRP, C-reactive protein. This is a marker of inflammation in the body. And if your chronic marker of inflammation is high, that's bad. That's unhealthy. That means you're at increased risk of hundreds of bad medical outcomes. And so when you adopt and stick to a proper human diet, all of those levels start to move back towards normal. Now, it depends on how long you've been metabolically sick. If you've been, obese and type 2 diabetic for 50 years, you're not going to return all this stuff to normal in 30 days. It's going to take a few months to do that. And that's why I encourage everybody to know what labs to ask their doctor for, and to know we need to recheck these every 3 months so that I can get a snapshot every 3 months to see how I'm doing. And many doctors, it makes them very uncomfortable, very nervous to order labs that they don't understand. And that's why in the Common Sense Labs book, we actually explain this is why you want this lab. This is what to tell your doctor. We even include the diagnosis codes that'll get the labs paid for, because if a doctor doesn't know to order a test, they certainly don't know which ICD-10 diagnoses you're going to pay for the test. And so that helps people get the test paid for, and that way they can monitor their health as they go along.
Yeah, that's really good that you did that. Sure people appreciate that too. Let's go back to cholesterol, because this is a recurring subject and a recurring theme, that the low cholesterol, let's say getting it way, way down, may not be the best thing in the whole world, or that a statin may not be long term, especially a great thing to be taking. So, what is your view on cholesterol and measuring it, where it should be? How does that work, doctor?
So the entire medical community, and indeed all of modern society, has been completely bamboozled about this cholesterol thing. It was one of the first lab tests that we could check back when we were starting to learn how to check different biomarkers in the blood. And so typically if a doctor can check something and you get a black and white answer, then that they like that, right? That's like, yeah, okay, now we're going to make decisions based on that. The problem is they set up the algorithm for making decisions based on that long before they understood all the physiology behind it. The truth is that your brain is made of cholesterol. Every nerve in your body is made of fat and cholesterol and is surrounded by a myelin sheath that's made of fat and cholesterol. Every membrane of every cell in your body is made of fat and cholesterol. Your body wouldn't use a dangerous molecule to make every single cell in your body. That would be dumb. And one thing Mother Nature isn't is dumb.
That's true.
Cholesterol is a health molecule. It is literally what gives you your optimal health. And so to take a pill to lower it, or to take an injection to drastically lower it, that would be like taking a pill to lower your oxygen level, or taking a pill to get all the water out of your body. That doesn't even make any sense. You've got to have those things. Those things are good for you, not bad for you. Cholesterol is the same thing, but cholesterol got demonized very early on. And that's why we see the entire explosion of low-fat diets, of plant-based diets, of vegan, vegetarian diets, is because by definition, you have a very low intake of saturated fat and a very low intake of cholesterol. That's why they thought those diets were healthy. Turns out that's not true at all. Your body needs the fat. Your body uses the fat. There are essential fatty acids that you have to have in your diet, or you will get sick, you will suffer, and you will die. Fat is good for you. Cholesterol is good for you. They're not bad.
Is there a cholesterol reading that you'd consider to be too high? Does it vary case by case?
Your body's going to put your total cholesterol level and your LDL cholesterol level right where it needs to be.
Where it needs to be.
The two readings on your lipid panel that I care about is I want your triglycerides to be low, well under 100 if possible, and I want your HDL to be high, above 50 if possible. That's literally the only two readings on the lipid panel that I care anything about.
Okay. Yeah, that's really helpful, doctor. Well, we're going to go to a break, folks. You're listening to Your Health Matters. Our guest is Dr. Ken Berry. This is really great to have you here, man. And
A pleasure.
we will be back in a couple of minutes.
Are you ready to take your health and fitness to the next level in just minutes per day? I want to introduce you to the Power Plate. We have 5 Power Plates in my clinic, and it's a revolutionary fitness tool designed to transform lives and bodies. With its cutting-edge whole-body vibration technology, PowerPlate activates more muscles, increases circulation, and improves flexibility, all while reducing strain on your joints. So whether you're looking to build strength, boost endurance, or speed up recovery, PowerPlate is the game changer you need. It's backed by scientific research. It delivers results quickly, making it the perfect solution for anyone from the elite athlete to the everyday fitness enthusiast. You can get a full body workout in just 15 minutes. So go to carlsterling.com, Carl with a K. Go to the sponsors tab, scroll down, click on PowerPlate and check it out.
All right, we are back with Dr. Ken Berry talking about proper human diet, cholesterol, ketogenic diet. Doc, I'd like to know your take on and your advice for people regarding exercise. This is a topic that's talked about all the time. What should we do? What order should we go? And quite frankly, a lot of people to get them to get up out of a chair. I don't say this with any disrespect to anybody, because I'm one of the people who doesn't really like to do anything, but I have to, so I do. Plus, this is my business, so I got a lot to talk. But plus, I always know when I get started and I get through a workout, I feel better in every possible way. So, what do you recommend for people exercise wise?
Well, the exercise thing is good and bad. And here's what I mean by that. For people who are currently very overweight, very out of shape, very inflamed, we've been taught that the only way you can lose weight is if you eat less and move more, right? Like exercise has got to be part of the weight loss equation, or you're just spinning your wheels. That is absolutely false. You do not have to exercise at all to lose fat. Remember, that's what we want to lose is fat.
Right.
So when I say that, that just infuriates all the health gurus out there. And then I'm like, I'm sorry, but that's what the research shows. It's very, very plain. Also, that just makes sense physiologically speaking. So here's why I say that. Just imagine one of your listeners and they're 100 pounds overweight. They're super out of shape. They've lost all kinds of muscle tone and they're very inflamed, right? Every joint is stiff and achy. And you're going to tell that person, hey, you got to get up and you got to start exercising. Two things are going to happen, either three things, one of three things. Either number one, they're going to say, well, just screw it then. I can't do that, right? And they're just not even going to try. Or number two, they do get up and they try to, and they overexert. They get so sore they can't walk, or they twist a joint, or they tear a tendon. And then that's it. They're out for 6 weeks and they're like, well, that didn't work well.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right. And so so people, it's not necessary to start exercise right now. And that's a super important message for people who are severely overweight, severely inflamed, severely deconditioned. Your number one, I want you to spend every ounce of your effort, every moment of your time, and every penny in your pocketbook on the food. Focus 100% right now on the food. Get all of the junk food out of your diet. Anything that's got added sugar or lots of natural sugar, get that out of your diet. Anything that is made of grains or beans, wheat, rice, oats, corn, or any of the beans or peas, all these things are just starch and anti-nutrients. They're not helping your health at all. Anything that contains vegetable seed oils like canola oil, soybean oil, safflower, sunflower, peanut oil, get all that stuff out of your diet.
Yeah, that's bad news.
And then that's the first 3 steps to focus on. Step number 4 is to cover at least half of your plate with fatty meat and eggs with the yolk. You want the fat. You don't want to trim the fat. You want to eat the fat as well. Cook it in lard, cook it in butter, cook it in beef tallow, and then just do that every day. Eat once a day, twice a day, 3 times a day. It doesn't matter. If you're hungry, eat. If you're not hungry, don't eat. No snacking in between meals. If you'll just do those 5 things, get rid of the sugar, get rid of the grains and beans, get rid of the vegetable seed oils, add lots of meat and eggs with the yolk to your plate, and no snacking in between meals. For the vast majority of people, within just a few days, they'll already start to feel lighter because they're holding anywhere from 5 to 25 pounds of unhealthy water because their blood sugar and their insulin is chronically high. They're going to start to pee off all that extra fluid. And in some cases, that's literally 25 pounds. That doesn't mean you lost 25 pounds of fat, but you did get rid of all that unhealthy water that was stressing your heart more than it should be stressed.
Sure.
These 5 things are also going to decrease your inflammation. Red meat is not inflammatory. It is uninflammatory. And a lot of people are like, wait, what? No, everybody knows red meat's inflammatory. No, this is a myth. This is one of the lies your doctor may have told you. As you do just those 5 things, and you can keep laying on the couch or sitting in your lazy boy while you do these, you're going to start to lose fat. Your joints are going to start to hurt less. Your mental fog is going to start to lift. You're going to actually be able to think about doing physical things again. And for most people, after a few weeks or a few months of just doing those 5 things, all of a sudden, Carl, they feel better. And guess what a normal, natural, healthy human enjoys doing?
Feelings just,
They
feel
enjoy playing. We all want to go outside and play. And so once the levels of inflammation are down, once they've lost anywhere from 20, 30, 40, 50 pounds, and their joints are not aching and yelling at them, and they're mentally clear, they're like, you know what? I think I'm going to go for a walk. The exercise will come. Focus 100% of your effort on the diet initially. If you're obese or severely obese, if you're type 2 diabetic, if you've got fatty liver, if you've got severe arthritis, if you just feel miserable, if you're depressed, focus 100% of your effort, because you only got so much effort, right, Carl? You only got so much motivation. You only got so much willpower and stamina. Don't try to say, oh, okay, I guess I'll join the gym, because it's too early for that. It's too early for that. You need to focus all your willpower and stamina on fixing your diet and keeping it fixed. And after you've won that battle for 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, all of a sudden you feel so much better, Carl. You're like, I think I'm going to go for a walk, or I think I'm going to kick the soccer ball around with the grandkids, or maybe even, God forbid, I'm going to join the gym. And you're much more likely to stick to it then than if you've tried to just begrudgingly drag your butt up off the couch and join the gym the day you started the diet. You're almost destined to fail.
I think it's great advice there too. And with that said, on the flip side, let's say you don't do any of this change in the diet, all this inflammation, gut inflammation, brain inflammation, and then these numbers on let's say staying metabolically very deconditioned, overweight, diabetes, the cases of dementia, Alzheimer's, all kinds of problems in the brain, cognitive decline, they're just skyrocketing. They're through the roof, and it's scary. So I just want to throw that in there, folks, because go ahead.
Let me just tell all your listeners, let me be very blunt. There are way worse things than having a heart attack and dying. Okay. Carl just mentioned dementia, stroke, heart attack that doesn't kill you. You wind up in the nursing home waiting for the minimum wage person to come and clean up your dirty diaper, and you get to stay there for the next 20 years. There are way worse things than just having a heart attack and dying. Dementia being one of the worst. It's torture for you, and it's torture for all your family members who want to love you. They try to love you, but you're in the nursing home and it never smells great there. And so that's why I encourage people, look, I know that January 1's coming, but you'll have to wait till then. You need to get started with this right now. You can actually start my 5 little simple steps with your very next meal. You don't even have to wait till tomorrow. The next time you eat, follow my 5 little simple steps that I gave you earlier, and you're going to start to heal metabolically.
Absolutely. And it's funny, I wanted to say what you said, but you said it so much more eloquently than I could. Thank you for all that, because like I say, folks, I say this a lot of times, whose burden do you want to be down the road? So to try these things, this is not rocket science, but Dr. Berry's giving us information here that can change our lives, our quality of life, and elongate the health span within the lifespan, so we feel good and we want to exercise and play. Doctor, if people want to get you, I have your website here. It looks like it's drberry.com. That's DRBERRY.com.
Yeah.
Where I'll
you'll notice something unusual about my website. I'm not trying to sell anything. I don't have any supplements. If you want to buy a book, that's fine, but I'm not trying to sell you on anything. I'm just trying to help you improve your health.
Thank you. Thank you so much for joining me today, Doctor. I really appreciate this. And thank you, everybody, for listening. Remember, go to drberry.com. There will be a link in the description on all platforms. This is Your Health Matters. We'll be back next week. Thanks very much for listening.
All right, friends. If we didn't have sponsors, we would not be able to do the show. So I would like to talk with you about a special sponsor. The name of this company is called Play On Relief Pain Spray. This is very unlike traditional treatments for pain. Play On uses a special technology called DuraCool. It's This, when you spray it on, it applies an invisible medicinal film directly onto the skin. Just spray it, you leave it. You don't even have to rub it in, right? In this formula are a couple of really cool ingredients. One of them is menthol. Then we have camphor and we have arnica. There's no big pharma. There are no chemicals. This is not a medicine yet. Spray on, and you're going to feel this, the play on relief, for probably 2 to 3 times as long as other leading things like Voltaren and other, things like that a lot of us are familiar with. So if you want to check this out, you can get a discount by going to carlsterling.com. That is Carl Sterling with a K, carlsterling.com. Go to the sponsors tab, scroll down the page, and you'll see the discount code to save 15%. Play on Relief Pain Spray is a one of a kind. We highly